Everybody, my name is Kojo Kandai. I'm the program manager for My Brother's Keeper through the Department of Neighborhoods and City of Columbus. I want to welcome everyone here. I'm excited to present this opportunity today. One of the things that we talk about a lot with our outreach is make sure we create programming that allows young folks to have hope and opportunity. So we create a vision to show you where you can go. And I think as city leadership, you see some folks from city leadership as well, that we've removed those barriers. And if we do that, you step through that opportunity. So I'm excited to present the SuperChef Academy. I'm excited at the partnership that is developed and will be talked about and discussed here today. I'm excited to have SuperChef with us today to talk about the Culinary Arts in Columbus State. And I want to introduce here Charles Hill with Columbus Urban League, and we'll move forward.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Charles Hill, Vice President of the Columbus Urban League. I'm excited about the partnership. I'm excited about you all getting a chance to learn from some of the best in the business here, and excited about the partnership with the City of Columbus and Columbus State. And so we're excited to see you here. I'm not going to talk long because we want to get to the good stuff. So thank you all for coming out, and have a great day.
We'll bring up whose house we're in right now. We'll bring up Dr. David Harrison, President of Columbus State.
Thank you, Kojo. Charles, this isn't the good stuff that Charles was talking about. Sorry, we'll get to that here in a minute. But it is such a big deal for us to have you here today. It's great to see our students. It's great to see some parents here. This is a big deal for Columbus State to have you here on a Saturday morning. We appreciate you taking the time. Really grateful to the Columbus Urban League and to the City of Columbus for their leadership and commitment here. And really fortunate to have SuperChef Darnell Ferguson here with us today. As you're working with Chef Ferguson and the rest of the group, take a look at how much fun they're having. This is an opportunity to understand what potential career paths are, and that's important. But you need to understand that there are paths in this community where you can make a great living and love what you're doing. And that's what this facility, that's what this day, this morning, is really designed to help you get some exposure to. If, as you're going through it, not just today, but as things go forward, if you realize, yeah, I like to eat more than I like to cook, that's me. We've got a lot of other opportunities to really have you engaged in exciting careers, whether your thing is computers, whether your thing is cars, whether your thing is the arts. We've got opportunities that are like this, where you get your hands on it, you get to understand what it takes to be successful in careers, and we've got support systems in place to make sure that you're going to be successful. We're really putting your success in the middle of what we do. And as a community, we've taken an important step, further step in that regard just in the past week. And I'm really honored to introduce a really good friend and a really good thought partner. We're so fortunate to have his leadership in our community. Please join me in welcoming Council President Shannon Hardin.
Thank you, Dr. Harrison. It is so good to be with each and every one of you guys this Saturday afternoon. I'm very, very grateful for Dr. Harrison and Columbus State for opening their house to us. Raise your hand if you've been here before to Columbus State. Okay. Raise your hand if you've been to the new Mitchell Hall that is world-renowned for teaching culinary arts to folks. So this is the first time for many of us to see really what Columbus State has to offer. I'm excited to be back and excited to partner, and I'll tell you a little bit more about a new partnership I hope you've already heard about, but I also want to thank the Urban League, thank Kojo for leading My Brother's Keeper, thank Miss Julia and Director Carla Williams Scott, and the SuperChef, Columbus native, someone who is doing amazing things all around the country. I told him I follow him on Instagram, but if I didn't see him on Instagram, I saw him on the Food Network and all the challenges. And so we're really excited to have him back home in our city. Why I am so excited to be with you guys today and talk about an amazing partnership is because it's for you. When we started My Brother's Keeper, it was on a simple premise that we will have your back, that the City of Columbus, our community, will stack cans and have our young people, young men of color, will have your back for the long run. One part of doing that is making sure that you are prepared for the jobs of the future. And so a lot of folks have not seen their way into a workforce or into their next post-graduation from high school. And so a couple years ago, I started working with Dr. Harrison and other partners from around Columbus to make a simple promise to Columbus City School students that if you graduate from Columbus City Schools, all you got to do is graduate, then we will make sure that you can go to college for free here at Columbus State. And not just go to Columbus State for free, but we would also make sure that you had $1,000 each year so that if your car breaks down or if you need help with your rentals and stuff, if you're not staying at home with mom, that would be taken care of too. It took us 2 years to get done, but last week, as Dr. Harrison said, we were able to roll out this promise. It's a promise to every single student in Columbus City Schools. And we hope that today is just one of those steps to say, like, this is what's possible. Normally, I would be wearing my Columbus State sweatshirt because Columbus State is dope, and we got to make sure that we lift it up and people understand what you have right here at your fingertips. I obviously have to wear Ohio State today because we have a little bit of a game that we're playing, but that does not take away at all from the amazing institution that Columbus State is, and that at the end of the day, it is for you. And so with that, I'm so excited for you guys. I love to cook too. And so, like I said, I love to follow SuperChef to see what you guys are making. But have an amazing day. Have an amazing experience. Ask questions. Engage. I always say, you know it's real when you ask somebody or leave here with somebody's number. So if you saw something that you like, if you saw something that you want to engage with, if you like the MBK program that's being offered today, you should talk to somebody. You should leave here with a contact to see how you can follow up after today's event. So thank you so much for having me, and have a great afternoon, guys. You? It's I didn't read my instructions right. It is my honor to introduce Deputy Director? No, Assistant Director. Assistant Director. I just call her Director of Department of Neighborhoods, and the person who helps get the backbone of MBK and so many other programs, Miss Julia Carter.
Oh, I feel that's a little short. My name is Julia Carter. I am Assistant Director with the Department of Neighborhoods, where I oversee our MBK initiative. And I just wanted to welcome you and thank you for taking the time to come here today to learn about the culinary arts and hospitality opportunities. And more importantly, really want to thank Columbus State and their partnership and their leadership for allowing us to be here today. So with that, I'm going to introduce Almore Walters and Tommy Tucker. Thank you.
How's everybody doing today? If that's any indication, we're going to have to get some energy going here. But my name's Tommy Tucker, and I am the coordinator of the Mix here at Columbus State. The Mix is an enrichment program that involves recreational cooking classes. We also do some culinary themed professional development lectures and collaborate with community organizations such as this. Really excited for you to be here today. I graduated from Columbus State with a degree in hospitality management and baking and pastry. Worked in a few restaurants and bakeries in Columbus, co-owned and operated a bakery here in the North Market before I returned to Columbus State. Mitchell Hall opened its doors in August of 2019 to grow our successful hospitality programs and to offer more learning opportunities for our students. Again, we're really happy to be here, have you here today. This facility boasts a cafe bakery called Blend. We have a full-service restaurant. There are teaching labs here. A mixology lab, and innovation kitchen. We're really proud of our hospitality programs, which includes baking and pastry arts, nutrition and dietetics, culinary arts, hotel tourism and event management, and restaurant food service management. It's our goal for you guys to hopefully we ignite a spark in you and you guys show some interest in the culinary arts and you'll return to Columbus State as students. It's been said that you guys should have fun doing this. This is meant for you to learn a little bit, but have fun at the same time. So just ask questions if you have any questions for our chefs. Taste the foods because you'll be making some really cool things, and it's okay to try them out and taste them, try to expand your palate. And most importantly, you know, we're hoping that whatever you learn here today, that you take that home with you and you share this with your family and friends. I don't know about you, but anytime I hang out with my family, I'm always in the kitchen eating. The kitchen is kind of the heart of the house. So we hope that you can take something home with you and share with your family and friends. Again, we're really happy that you're here with us. We have a really exciting program for you, and we hope that you enjoy. Thank you. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Almar. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Hello, hello. Hopefully everyone is well. I usually agree with our council president, and today is no exception. Columbus State is dope. And with that, we love to inspire, we love to educate, but we also love providing opportunities for our students to achieve their goals. And that's what this is about, collaborating in exciting, fun, engaging ways that enable students, enable you all to really be yourselves. And as the VP of Diversity and Inclusion, being yourself is important. So SuperChef is a fantastic story of how being yourself enables you to trailblaze in ways that you may not have otherwise been able to do. So all of your background, all of your stories, all of your triumphs, all of your challenges enable you to do some really cool things. And I hope that's a posture that you take as SuperChef leads us through a demonstration. We're excited you're here. Thank you so much for being here. I also want to pause and very carefully thank Tommy Tucker, who has helped orchestrate, mastermind, and really pull things together. We're indebted to the planning team, but certainly Tommy, the hospitality committee here, Chef Wickham and others, we want to say thank you to them very intentionally. And with that, I'd like to welcome up the Assistant Director for Community Affairs in the Mayor's Office, Mr. Christopher Sewell, who will then introduce SuperChef. Thanks, family.
Thank you, Almar, and thank you to our community partners. It's definitely exciting to be here. I think we've been trying to do this now since prior to the pandemic, and so super thankful that we was able to use those relationships with Columbus Urban League, Columbus State, and the City of Columbus to put this event together for y'all. I have the pleasure of introducing SuperChef, so I won't go in too depth into our history, but childhood friend, grew up on the same side of town on the south side, went to school together. I'm just say that I'm glad that he chose culinary over sports. Because that wasn't his specialty. And so when you talk about homegrown people that actually come back and give back to their community and to their city, but also invest in boys and men of color, that's important. If nothing else we learned through this pandemic is that we have to take ownership of our culture, of the things that we do. And so cooking, especially cooking foods from our demographic and our background, is important. And so that's something that he was going to talk about, but also introduce and let you know that it's more than just cooking. It's a craft. It takes precision. It takes measurements. It takes the time to the presentation is what it looks like. And so think about this as you prepare this food, and then when you go into the restaurants, how much work went into preparing that food or that dish that you're getting ready to eat. And so super excited I was able to get him here all the way from Louisville. An amazing person, a good friend of mine, Darnell, Super Chef Ferguson.
You hear? Sound good? All right. So, super excited to be here. How many of y'all, first of all, I want to thank y'all for being here, your time and everything. So, how many of you all would say you want to be successful? All right. So the first step, got a whole life ahead of y'all. the first step we got to take is to be excited about today. The first step of success is maximizing today. Today you are here, so if you can get on the edge of your seats, put your cell phones on silent, and for the next hour, just engage. And I promise you, you will get something out of this that hopefully not only can change your life, but can expose you to something that you didn't even know. You know, because when I got into the culinary field, and me and Chef Tucker were talking about this, when I got into cooking, I went to vocational school. And even he was saying, he's like, yeah, we always look at people who went to vocational school a little different. You know, so I used to hide behind the kitchen stoves and the ovens because no one knew I went to school to be a chef, because you talking about back in 2002, 2003, where it wasn't that popular. You know, but I was always okay with doing what I wanted to do. And that's what I want y'all to take from this, because at the end of the day, one thing I can tell people being here is that you're going to try your best to leave your mark on this earth. I know don't nobody here just want to just make it through life, do you? Or maybe everybody here wants to just make it a little bit in life, you know what I'm saying? But I see you shaking your head, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to make a mark on this world. You know what I'm saying? You want to do something special. Like, you want to feel like you fulfilled your purpose while you're here. And that's what a little bit I want to show you while we're cooking. The reason why cooking goes so good with life is because you get to see both worlds of it. You get to see immediate gratification. As soon as you make that plate, you get to just be in awe of it. Then they go eat it. But then as a chef, you also understand that some things need to be low and slow. You know, like not everything can be made in 10 minutes. Some things need 10 hours. And it's the same way with your life, man. Some things going to happen for you really fast, and some things going to take a long time for it to happen for you. You know, I've been competing on Food Network for the last 7 years. And as he said when he introduced me, he said, oh, one of the best chefs. That was a literal statement for you. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that often that you get to be around someone who will be perceived as like LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Steph Curry in their industry. But that's what I am in my industry. You know, that's what I've done, from competing, from going against the best, from having the best restaurants, from working on my character. You know, all those things put me in a place to be seen as one of the top chefs in the country. So today, I just ask that you just give it an opportunity, engage, lock in, because what separated me from everybody else who started with me was that I maximized every opportunity I got. There was no one who came next to me and talked to me for 2 hours that I wasted their time. By the time I got done talking with them for 2 hours, I learned so much more about life. So I hope that you maximize every opportunity you have in front of you, because usually people are waiting for something to happen, but exactly what you're waiting for is already happening today. So y'all ready to get this thing started? Yeah. Oh my goodness. We're gonna rewind that part on the tape. They won't shut that part. Are y'all ready to get this thing started? Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so today, my style of cooking, which I'm gonna talk to you about a lot in the culinary industry, because just so y'all know, I am not paid by Columbus State. I did not go to Columbus State. I have no reason to lie to you about anything I'll tell you today. But let me tell you, I've been in many colleges and all culinary schools across the country. This, by far, is one of the best put together culinary institutes I've seen with my own eyes. When you go upstairs and tour later on and you see these kitchens, if you are interested in this industry, I guarantee you, you have the best of everything upstairs to learn how to master the craft here. So I say that, and I wanted to put that out there just to let you know that I didn't graduate from here, and I'm not paid from here. So I'm only telling you what I've seen, and I've been around this industry for a long time. This is one of the best put together culinary institutes I've seen with my own eyes. So the dish we're gonna be doing today, and I wanted to do something that would not be so unfamiliar with you. My style of food is called urban eclectic. Urban eclectic means I cook food that is relatable to the masses, to the people who come from where I come from. You know what I'm saying? I grew up, when I got in this industry, I was in 5 Diamond hotels, 5 Diamond restaurants. I worked in the only 5 Diamond restaurant in the state of Kentucky. So just so y'all know, 5 Diamond is the highest rating a restaurant can get in the world. There's only about 50 of those restaurants in the world. So I worked in one of those restaurants, ran the line there. I've been in 5 Michelin restaurants. But what I learned is that when my family would come to my restaurants and eat, they didn't like the food because it was so unfamiliar to them. What I cooked, was totally the opposite of anything I was raised around. So when I got the skills, I got the craft, I got the organization, I got the skill, everything I got, I took it and brought it right back to my own style of food that I grew up with. So my style is called urban eclectic because the food is very familiar to people who come from where I come from. But it's done in a way that not even they have seen yet. So, like that's the key for me is like the creativity. If you've ever seen me compete on TV, the creativity is what always gives me the win. Besides flavor, but if you're a chef and we talk about flavor, then we have a wrong conversation. You know what I'm saying? That's like being a basketball player and talking about tennis shoes. You got to wear shoes when you go play basketball. So we're going to be doing mac and cheese. Everybody's had mac and cheese before, right? But we're going to be doing a gnocchi mac and cheese. And gnocchi is a pasta. It's a potato pasta. But what I'm doing to change it up a little bit is I'm doing what's called a Parisian version of it, which Parisian just means Paris. Paris people from Paris. So it's a French style of pasta. So I'm gonna actually show you how to make the noodles for this. We're gonna make the noodles, the sauce. Only thing we ain't about to do is milk the cow and make the cheese. But we're gonna make a Parisian mac and cheese, and then we're gonna do this fried chicken bites on top of it. And then we have some slow cooked greens that go with it as well. So if something about this is a very familiar food that people have had one day or another in their life. You know what I'm saying? But what I did was I took it and recreated it, which is the same thing you will have to do in your life. You're going to have to take what you got and do it in a way nobody ever seen it before, because it's only one of you and there ain't going to be another one. So I will get this party started. Man, I need some music, man. You got no music over here. So with pasta, let me get my pot on first. And as you can tell, like I told you, I've never been here before, so it may take a second to get the pans on. But so the first thing we're gonna do is start with our pasta. I feel like I know how to do this. There we go. All right. So gnocchi, Parisian gnocchi is made with pot of choux. Pot of choux was made for eclairs. It's made for eclairs for the most part. It's a pastry. But what we're going to do is take that and make a dumpling, which is going to take the place of macaroni noodles that go with mac and cheese. So I'm going to put my water inside of here. And there'll be points in times where I'll stop cooking and we'll just talk about something that has to do with a lesson to go off of there. So we're going to take our water, a little bit of butter, and these are all the basics of making a pot of choux. Our butter, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of salt in there as well. We'll bring it up to a boil, and then I'm gonna add my flour into it as well. So is anybody sitting here interested in cooking? 1, 2, 3, okay, interested. That's all you gotta do. When I got into cooking, trust me when I tell you, I did not know I wanted to be a chef. I did not know, I was like, oh, I love cooking like this. And me and my cousins, so I have cousins, I'm from the South Side, but I had cousins who lived in Somerset out north. So I used to go to Somerset every weekend and spend the weekends out there with them, and we used to make breakfast. But the breakfast we was making, we talking about warming up pizza that we had the night before, making cereal with like cheddar cheese inside of it. Like we was doing like making slushies, freezing juice in the freezer until you can like hit it with the ice and like make like a slushie out of like, this is what we was doing. Like this is the style of cooking that I was exposed to. You know what I'm saying? So I just took something I liked. You know what I'm saying? Then I seen Food Network on TV and I seen this guy Emerald. And I liked his style because he was different. He wasn't like no one I'd ever seen cooking before. And I was like, you know what? I didn't like school. School didn't like me either. I came to my junior year in high school and I had the opportunity to go to vocational school. Do they still have vocational schools here? Anybody know? They do? Yeah. Fantastic. So I went to Northeast Career Center at Easton at the time for vocational school. And that was where I learned that I was good at cooking. When I tell you, all you got to do when you're trying to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life is first figure out what you like to do. You know what I'm saying? Because the things you like, you may not be good at yet. I was not good at cooking, but I was very, very much interested in it. So I got there, and I remember, so what's happening right now is I'm waiting to bring this up to a boil. I want my salt to dissolve, and I want my butter to melt. And then I'm going to add my flour to here, and that's going to be the start of making this pasta. And just so you know, I'm going to follow everybody on Instagram that's in here. And if I see you post this over Thanksgiving because you did it with your family and you didn't tag me, we're going to have some issues, okay? So just tag it. No. But so I wish I could see y'all smile, but you got the mask on. I don't know if you're mad, you're happy, but I understand. So where was I at? So I got into Culinary Arts school, right? And I had this teacher. I remember the first day I got into school, you used to have to do knife skills. They used to have a little block that had all the cuts on there. So she gave me a knife and said, hey, I want you to make every single knife cut on this block out of this potato. And I told her, I was like, you know, ain't nobody ever gave me a knife before. And we started joking about it. And she came back 15 minutes later. I had every single knife cut done perfectly. And I remember her telling me, she was like, oh my gosh, Darnell, how long have you been cooking for? I said, how long have you been cutting for? I said, I ain't never cut nothing in my life. And it was from that moment that she started to invest in me and tell me things that I didn't start to agree with till later on in life. She's like, you're really great at this. She's like, you're gonna get on every competition team. You're gonna win it all. I'm telling you, Darnell, this is gonna happen. Could she have been lying? Yes. But was she? Was it the right person to lie to? Yes. Because my whole life I played sports. Like Chris told you, first of all, let's put this out there. I was better at basketball than Chris was. But like Chris told you, like, as much as I played sports growing up, man, like, I wasn't gonna make it. Was I putting time into it? Yes. Did I enjoy the physical activity of basketball and football? Yes. But did I know in the back of my head that I wasn't one of the people, like, I have friends who are all top tier recruits. Me, I'd be happy if Columbus State gave me a ring. But I knew that. So when I found what my niche was early, I attached myself to it and I never let it go. So look out what's for you. I know from where we're from and what you're surrounded around, man, it seems like you gotta be an entertainer. It seems like you gotta play a sport. It seems like you gotta get famous. Like, let me tell you that. You don't have to do that to have a very, very great life. You don't have to. Like, cooking is one of those things that can take you anywhere. How many people want to live in different places in their life? Like you want to be able to live in Florida, you may want to live in a different country, you may want to go to Vegas, you may want to go to Cali for a little bit. You want to be able to see the world. You know, that's what cooking exposes you to. There ain't a place in this country right now you can't make top tier dollar right now cooking. And what happens is, outside of, just so you know this, and this is starting to melt down, just waiting a little longer. Outside of sports, the #2 industry in the world, from TV to daily life, is the culinary industry. It's growing so much, but what's happening is it has less people to work it. That's why you're here. Like, you want to at least know, like, hey, this is an option. You know, I have chefs. When I did the Olympics, I was a chef for the USA teams in Beijing in 2008, so I spent 3 months in China cooking. I had chefs who all they did was big events like the US Open, the Super Bowl, the Olympics, AT&T conventions, and then they lived on the island when they didn't do that. They knew when they had their events, they went and worked them, and you work 18 to 20 hours a day, but you're also off every 3 days. So I got this bringing it to a boil. I'm gonna go ahead and add my flour to the mix. So what I want you to do is, so what happens is, like, I didn't know those was even possible. And what happens for people a lot of times that live in the inner city is they don't know what's possible. So what we're trying to do here is have you understand what's possible for your life. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what's possible to work. That don't mean that's the level you can go to, because what they told me was possible, no one ever told me I'd have my own show on Food Network. No one ever told me I'd be on TV every week cooking. No one ever told me that. You know, so when you hear about what's possible, just know that's just the starting point for you. That ain't the ceiling. You know what I'm saying? You can keep going higher and higher and higher and higher. So I want to mix this around until it starts to form away from the sides. And this is basically called a choux. So basically, when you see a lot of people baking things, they usually have a leavening agent in there. Leavening agent is like baking powder, baking soda. You mix the two together, it will make something rise if you bake with it. But pot de choux doesn't use that. Pot de choux uses air as a leavening agent, which is pretty cool. So therefore, as soon as this pulls away from the side, I don't want to burn my pot de choux, but as soon as it as soon as it forms a ball, then we'll put it inside of our mixer. And like I'll tell you, man, like we'll have, like, as you can tell, I have a gift for talking, right? You know what I'm saying? I can cook and I can talk. It's two things I can do. I need to learn how to make money off both of them. So the fun thing about this is when cooking, and I try to get people exposed to it, is, a lot of people want something that's more like, have more glamorous life to it. But I can't tell you, whatever you do, you can have that lifestyle. But you can't be going at that. That can't be why you want to do something for the lifestyle. Do something because you enjoy it and because you're great at it. You know what I'm saying? And then also know that greatness takes some time. And that's why when I was telling you that the good thing about cooking is you get the immediate gratification of making a meal and seeing it fast. But then you also, as a chef, you're smart enough to understand that not everything cooks at the same time. Sometimes it'll take longer to get there. When we first started our first restaurant up, it was a pop-up restaurant. And we thought it would take us 3 months before we got our own restaurant. So we were a pop-up. What that means is we went inside of places that didn't serve breakfast and we rented their space out while they were closed. And remember this, when I was doing this, I had already been to the Olympics. I had already done all these things that made me a chef of why am I in the back of a gyro store cooking breakfast? Why am I in the back of a consignment store cooking breakfast? When I came from the Olympics, I graduated from school, I worked in these high-end restaurants. Why am I in the back of these stores cooking breakfast? When I got all my friends are executive chefs in big restaurants, but the question is, why am I the one who has to be in the back of this dirty gyro store trying to make it out of the industry? But the key to that question is that in life, you got to accept what your life is and your walk and your path to get to greatness. Everybody's ain't the same. And what you can't do, imagine if I compared myself so much that when I was in those pop-up restaurants, I said, you know what? I don't want to do this no more, man. I'm done. I'm just going to go back to working. I would have missed out on every single thing I have today. So what I had to understand was my journey is my journey. You know what I'm saying? Because the same way I started in those pop-up restaurants, and I remember it was so funny because there was times where people would, do anybody know what a consignment store is? You're young. A consignment store is basically a thrift store, but people bring their stuff for the store to sell it for them. So basically it's on consignment. So basically if you got some shoes you want to sell, you take it to a consignment store and they sell it for you. So basically we were in the back of a thrift store selling breakfast, right? This is where the journey really starts at for SuperChefs. And I remember being upset. I was thinking to myself, why is this my journey? Why can't I be like my other friends who are executive chefs at big restaurants? But what I didn't know was what God had for me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what was coming after that. I didn't know that this restaurants that I was doing would bring so much national attention. It would wake so many people up to see like, oh my gosh, you see what these guys is doing over here? I didn't know that the word was spread in such a massive way by doing it like this. But because I was humble enough to say, you know what? I'm just gonna make it work. We made it work. So back to your pasta, macaroni. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in here. So now, I have my pasta, I have my pot of choux in here. I gotta cool it down a little bit. I'm gonna add some mustard. I'm gonna add some herbs. I got some chives right here. Like a mild, very mild onion flavor. Add some chives in there. Easy, easy it goes. Can y'all see from up here? Did it show you this? It don't? All right, well, it's just mixing. I'm gonna add some eggs, one at a time. There we go. We'll also add a little parsley in here. Chop it up really, really fine. So what I'm doing is, to the pasta, I'm going to already have herbs in there, cheese in there. So not only does the pasta have cheese, but the actual pasta itself has cheese inside of it. So I'm going to add my herbs, egg, another egg in there. Turn that down. Mix it in there. I'm gonna add a little Parmesan cheese. There we go. And this right here is some Irish cheddar cheese right here. Add a little Irish cheddar cheese, which is one of my favorite cheeses. If you've never had it before, you are more than welcome to come down here and try a little bit if you want to. A little Irish cheddar cheese, go right in there. All right, add another egg, and then we should be wrapping this up. And I'm gonna show you how to make the pasta here. Got my water boiling. All right. Get my chicken, marinade. So, how many of y'all have ever fried chicken before? How many of y'all think y'all make some fire fried chicken? You put your hand down, ain't fire? He's like, I'll make it. I wouldn't tell you to eat it, but I'll make it. So I'm gonna show you a different way of making fried chicken here in 1 second. Because what usually happens is 9 out of 10 times somebody make fried chicken, they usually using buttermilk. But I'm gonna show you something that you can take home. Don't tell your mom or your grandma while they're making the holiday dinner about this and start telling them what you know, because it's probably the best time to try to tell them what you learned. All right, wait till after the holidays. So I'm gonna mix this right on in here again. Actually, I'm gonna add some more cheese. But our dough is pretty much formed. There we go, there we go, there we go. And like I was having a conversation earlier with someone, and while we're going through this, I was telling them the benefits of being a chef, right? One of the greatest benefits of getting into the culinary industry is the level of standards that come with the industry. You know, how many of you live your lives to a certain standard? It's a hard question too. It's a very hard question. And then, because most people just live their life how they want to, no matter how they feel. You know what I'm saying? You kind of live your life based on how you feel that day, what you want to do that day. But when you come into the culinary industry, especially when you come around somebody like myself, you learn a certain standard of life that you must accept when you walk into my kitchen. It's the first time usually I get a lot of people who've been cooking but never had the opportunities that like we give them. So when they come into my kitchen, as much as I'm teaching them how to cook, I'm teaching them how to live. Because the standards, the qualities, you can't come into my kitchen without a pressed shirt, iron pants, clean shoes. You gotta have a hat on, or you gotta have something in your hair. And that's not even, we haven't even started getting clocked in yet. You know what I'm saying? Because what happens is, what I tell people, most of my staff are young chefs, what I try to let them know is that the first thing you have to understand is you're gonna first be judged on how you look. So first of all, we're gonna look the part here. You know what I'm saying? We great chefs, but you come in and you look like you work at Denny's. You know what I'm saying? Imagine walking past my kitchen, you seen somebody who in there cooking, who you like, what he got on? You know what I'm saying? Now you don't even think your food that good no more. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how it works in life. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this dumpling, my mixture from my pasta, inside of a piping bag, right? But while I'm doing that, I'll keep telling you that story. So that's one of the cool things about being a chef is that being a chef has a lot to do with like, anybody ever got any experience like the military ever did, like ROTC or anything like that? Like, it's very structured. And what happens a lot of times in life is a lot of people don't get to the level of success they want to because they're not structured. You know what I mean? They don't have a way about how they go about things. When you come into the kitchen, you adopt those ways. You understand that the little things matter. Like, if I don't cook that pasta long enough, then it won't boil right. If I don't boil it right and cool it right, then it won't sear right. If I don't sear it right, then the macaroni and cheese gonna come out in one clump. You see how it takes one wrong mistake in order to mess up the whole dish. And that's the exact same way of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why cooking translates. Most people who come into cooking usually have been through some things in their life because it can rehabilitate your life for you. You know what I'm saying? And just like that, it can also, you ain't gotta always go through something. It can also encourage your life. It can bring excitement to your life because you get to be around a lot of people who have like minds like you. You know, so that's just one of my small spills on cooking. And like you said, you got trash can. I'm not trying to sell no one to be a chef. I just at least want you to see how good the industry could be, not only to you as a chef, but also you as a person. Because that's a big part of this. All right, so I'm gonna put my pasta right in my bag. And as you can see, all I'm gonna do is cut a little tip out right here. Make sure that'll get in there. What can you see on here? Oh, okay, gotcha. What? You can see the pipe. You see how you can see all the herbs and everything inside of the pasta? So we're gonna take this pasta. I got boiling water right here. Slotted spoon, let me clean up as you go. Another one of the benefits of being a chef is you will be super organized, super clean, because you got to clean as you go the entire time. Unless I'm at home with my mom and she swears I don't clean at all, but that's because I'm in her kitchen. So I got some scissors right here. I got my water going. I'm gonna turn my water down because I don't want it to, what's the best word to use? I don't want it to bruise the pasta. I don't want to start trying to break it apart. I just want it to start forming it. Like that hot heat, that temperature, once that pasta gets in there, it's gonna like shock up like this. But if it's boiling, it may start to have some of the pieces go. It may start to, I can't even think of the right word. It may start breaking down the pasta. So I got my pasta water going, just like this. Drop them right inside. You can make them any size you want to. Size of macaroni, bigger. It's all up to you and how you want to do the dish. I'm gonna dip it back in that hot water, just so, keep cutting. Just like that. And like I said, you can make these bigger, smaller, however you want to. That's the fun thing about cooking is your interpretation. So have you ever watched, anybody ever watched like a show like Chopped or Guys Grocery Games or anything like that? So if you ever watched those shows, you know, cooking is that one thing that's not like a sport. It ain't 1 + 1 makes 2. It's all about how somebody's perception is. Imagine if you don't like celery, but somebody made a dish with celery in it. That ain't gonna be good to you. You know, so it's all about how you view food. Like it's a way that you can leave your stamp on this industry how you would like to. There you go. Keep cutting these through there. And when you go on your breakout sessions upstairs, we have some gnocchi that's already made for you. There we go, there we go. Just like this, dropping them inside there. Kojo, you're more than welcome to do this for your families on the holidays, man. So at the same time, if you have any questions, just, where's the microphone? Over here? If you have any questions, just raise your hand. We'll have you come down here to speak into the microphone. Like I told you, ask me everything. If you got a question about how this industry goes, about food, about starting your businesses up, all those kind of things. Because at this point, I've opened, leased, or owned over 12 restaurants. You know, so when it comes to opening restaurants, when it comes to whatever it is, because when I first started, I wanted to be a private chef. I didn't even want to be a chef in a restaurant. Like, I was honestly could not stand the restaurant industry and told myself I wanted to be a private chef for some rich people in Vegas. That was my goal. I remember me and my mom, we went out to Vegas when I was about to graduate college. We filled out apartment applications, and then I went to the Olympics. And by the time I got back from China, the recession had hit. So Vegas went from let me tell you how big this industry is at culinary and hospitality. Las Vegas was a 0% unemployment rate. They had always been known for that. 0%, meaning the only people that don't got a job is people who don't want to work. So when I got back from overseas, it was like a 7% unemployment rate, which that means hundreds of thousands of people lost their jobs. So therefore, when I got back from overseas, I was like, you know what? It's probably best I don't go to Vegas as a newly graduated chef and try to be the one fighting for a job. So I stayed in Louisville, ended up working my way through. And the thing about these pastas is as soon as it floats, it's done. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the pasta out, put it in some ice water. There we go. I'm gonna make a little bit more so we can make a lot of mac and cheese. Yes. Yep.
So getting started in the business and using social media to kind of get your message out, any advice or direction about putting those two pieces together, your passion using social media and the culinary arts as a space?
Yeah. What I would say is when I tell a lot of people I get to talk to about their social media and things like that is make sure your social media represents you very well. You know, I had a guy ask me to mentor to him one time, and his name on there was like Cutthroat Killer. I'm like, why is your name Cutthroat Killer if you want to be a chef and you want me to mentor to you? You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure that it represents you in a way that if the opportunity came, it don't pass you up because it didn't like how you looked. You know what I'm saying? You got to be honest about things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Your look will play a big part in this. And the sooner that you can realize that in life, the sooner you'll be able to deal with it in life. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality for a lot of people who are here, you know? So you have to be on top of your game. And I always tell people, I was like, I can't lack. I can't just post what I feel like on my social media because I want people from my social media is strictly to make people understand who we are, have them want to come in the restaurants to see what we're doing. Oh my goodness. Who knows how to put scissors together? These came apart. So when it comes to social media, it's such a big tool. You just want to make sure you're using it in the right way. That's the only thing with that. Just try to use it and then try to make money off of it. That's the number one thing right now is social media is becoming a big place for people to be able to make money off of. So build your brand up. Make sure your social media is being used for your brand and not for your own personal things. And it's a good thing. Social media is huge. See, we weren't born in the social media area, so we had to adapt to it and figure it out. But when I was a kid, this wasn't, you know, you didn't have Facebook or anything like that. When we was in high school, I think we had MySpace at one point. But y'all don't know life without it, do you? You know what I'm saying? That's all you know is social media. So learn how to use it for yourself. And that's one thing that I was telling someone about is when you go to college, when I went to school, my school had to take me to China with them. They had to take me to the governor's mansion. They had to take me every single place they went because I used my school for everything they had to offer. Whereas most people go to college, go to school, and they just there to, oh shoot, and they just there to be there. You know what I'm saying? But no matter what you do, if you're going to college, you in school right now, use your school for all they have to offer. Learn how to take advantage of the opportunities that you have. That's going to be like 80% of what's going to happen in you in life is going to be how you took advantage of your opportunities. It ain't going to be that you need something to come. It's going to be how did you do well with what was already there for you. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you do a really good job of taking advantage of the opportunities you have. Here we go. Almost done with this pasta. There we go.
And I'll jump into the floor again. If anyone has questions, come down and ask a question of Chef as you thought about it. If anybody else is waiting for the piece about the fried chicken, you can ask that question as well.
What do you say about fried chicken?
You're going to give us a new way of
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting on the edge for that. My guy right there was waiting for it. He's sitting on it in a gray sweatshirt. You're waiting for it, weren't you?
I got you right here. Let's make this pasta. Actually, I'm frying some dough over here, too. Here we go. And I am almost finished with this. Right there is almost enough. So what are you interested in cooking? I see you raise your hand. Yeah. Yeah.
Just cooking, culinary.
Culinary?
Yeah.
I love everybody who's team culinary, not team bacon and pastries. You know what? It's good to recognize that early. I recognize it really early. I do know baking is a science. Cooking's a science too, but cooking's also, you can not know anything about science to be a great chef, but you can't not know nothing about science to be a great bacon and pastry chef. So does everybody know the difference between the two is, like a pastry chef and an actual like culinary chef? If not, I will tell you. So when you go to school, you got the option, you can do both. You can major in baking and pastries and culinary if you would like. A lot of people do that, especially when I was in school. They wanted to major in both so they knew both. But baking and pastries is the science of baking. You know what I'm saying? It's this balancing acids, it's balancing all the alkalines and everything like that to be able to get things to actually rise up, cook, do art with sugar. It's a lot that goes into baking. But culinary is more or less what you see when you see a chef that's just cooking on TV or cooking food. It's the art of culinary, but it does not have nothing to do with the baking side of life, unless you're baking breads. So most times, like here, do the students who go for culinary have to do a baking class? Yeah, so yeah, it's just like that. Like if you go to school for culinary arts, usually you still have to take a basic baking class. And if you go to school for baking, you usually got to take a basic culinary class, just so you know how to cook. All right, here we go. These are all floated. Then I'm gonna get my chicken marinated. So just so y'all know, we are like 90% of the way done with this meal. Very, very easy meal to do. Here we go. And the fact that if you go to Columbus Public Schools, you could come to Columbus State for free should really have people looking at this. And if you're trying to be a chef, just so you know a little bit about how it works, you do not need to try to go to Johnson and Wales because it's a big name school. You do not have to go to the Culinary Institute of America because it's a big time school. See, because in culinary, it doesn't work like that. It's not like basketball where you want to go to Duke in UNC, Ohio State, of course. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work like that. You can come, all you need to do is get the training. We're in an experience industry, which means experience pays the most. So once you get that degree, and I tell people all the time, it's important to go to school, especially if you haven't been highly exposed to the industry already. Unless like your father or uncle or somebody is like a chef and you've been able to train under them, you know what I'm saying? You probably need to go to Culinary Arts School because it shows you so much of the things you didn't even know you were missing out on. So I'm gonna drain these on. There we go. Put these on this pan. Try to get some more water off of these, because by the time we cook them, so what's going to happen next is, when we cook that, we are going to sear them off first, and then we're going to add the garlic, we're going to add the pot, we're going to add the cream to it, the cheese, and then we'll bake it off, and then we'll fry our chicken off, and we'll sit the chicken on top. And upstairs, they're cooking the greens that go with this as well. But as far as the fried chicken goes, which we are finally here, so by nature, this would need to sit overnight. The binding agent we're going to use for this, so you know, normally you see people do it with like flour inside of a bag, or you see people do it with buttermilk. You may see people do it with, what else is there? 3-step breading procedure. But today, I'm gonna show you how to get the most flavor out of fried chicken. But the key is you have to let it sit for at least a few hours. So I got my knife right here. I see my mixing bowl right down here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these down into bite-sized pieces. And always remember, whenever you're cutting something or cooking something at home, when you're trying to figure out how large you want the pieces to be, think about how long you want to be cooking it for. Do you want to cook it really fast? You're really hungry? Cut them small. You got some time and you want it to be more presentation? You can make them a little big. But because we want to cook them a little quicker, I'm going to make these a little smaller. So I'm going to do very thin strips. Here we go. Come back, and these are going to be like little tiny, like popcorn chicken. We've all had popcorn chicken before. Here we go. And also, so on the mac and cheese, how many people like mac and cheese with like breadcrumbs on it? A lot of people. So the smart thing as a chef for me, I say, okay, I'm not going to put no breadcrumbs on this mac and cheese, right? Why? Somebody tell me why not. Because I'm adding fried chicken on top of it, which is going to add that crunch element that the breadcrumbs would add to it. So therefore, I don't need breadcrumbs because I'm going to be having breaded fried shrimp, fried chicken on top of it. There we go. Some nice fine pieces. Very easy like this. Get my bowl. Throw them right in there. I got one more in the dice. I should have had somebody come up and help cut this. There we go. So what schools are y'all from? Just yell it out.
Downtown.
Okay,
Fort Hayes.
right.
South Park.
South. Okay, good. East. Have y'all ever thought about cooking before, like becoming a chef?
Yeah.
What about cooking excites you? Who wants to come down here and answer some questions for me? Who wants to cook? Come on down. Yeah, you ain't gotta move. You can just come on. It could be more than one. You can just move. No, nothing. You come on. Yeah. Or you can go right there to that mic just so we can hear you. So, what is it about cooking that it makes you want to be a chef? What do you like about it?
I like all the time and effort that people put into the food, the amount of, and also the flavor, and also like how the process is done and everything.
Yep. You know, one of the greatest parts about my culinary career that I enjoyed the most was butchery. So I used to, when we go upstairs, I'm gonna make sure they show you their lab that has, like, I think it may have a half a cow. What is it? Cow or pig up there right now? Have a pig. Cows are huge. Has a pig up there. All right, now I can tell her we're gonna butcher it, and it's already a tempered room that's cold. But what made me fall in love with it is something about knowing how to feed yourself and not needing any help with it. You know, like if you could take a whole cow or a whole pig and be able to break that down, get all the cuts of meat you need out of it. So what I used to do is, when I was a young chef, one of my jobs was I took care of all the seafood for the restaurant. So we used to get big old tunas that came in every day, snappers, grouper, halibut, flatfish. My job was to break them down. I didn't get paid for this, by the way. I didn't get paid for this, by the way. And you're probably thinking, like, why would you not get paid? I didn't get paid because I asked to do it. You know, it was my executive chef's job to do it, right? But what separated me from the rest was that, so now that the chicken's done being cut, chicken is one thing we do not play with, people. We're gonna move that cutting board out the way, the knife is done. I won't even touch that. I have a clean cutting board right here that will come out. So, before I get to that, I'm gonna tell you how to make that chicken real quick, all right? So, take you some hot sauce. Kojo's back, y'all. He heard the fried chicken. I told y'all he's coming back. You take the hot sauce, take yellow mustard. You need yellow mustard. If you don't like yellow mustard, I understand. I ain't a yellow mustard fan myself. I like Dijon and honey mustard. So you take your yellow mustard, put it in there. Then I have Cajun seasoning, and I have barbecue seasoning. And so this is why I like to be smart, especially when I'm at home cooking. So you're probably thinking, well, I want to let you know why we're using Cajun and barbecue seasoning. So instead of we're telling you to go home and go buy 15 different spices, we're going to use 2 spices that have 15 ingredients in them. You see what I'm saying? Like, I could have told you to get smoked paprika, cayenne, chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, every ingredient I could have told you. But these 2 ingredients have all of that already inside of it. So we're going to be smart about how we cook also. So I'm going to let these sit and marinate inside of this. So how many people like Popeyes? I love Popeyes, by the way. You ain't got to be ashamed of that either. So if you like Popeyes, you can say you like Popeyes. So this, when you marinate your chicken in this, or shrimp is fantastic. Cod, whatever you got to fry, marinate it like this. I will tell you again, you need to marinate it at best, if you can, overnight. It'll help the flour stick to it better. If you marinate it like this, your chicken will come out closer to Popeyes than anything you've ever had in your life. You know what I'm saying? The kind of breading that's, oh man, it's kind of separate from the chicken, but it's a part of the chicken, but it's delicious. So I'm gonna let this marinate for a little while we're doing our mac and cheese. But back to that question where I was talking to you about, you know, you said you like the process of cooking. You know what I'm saying? Which I'll say this, you hear me say this a lot. The process of cooking shows you the process of life. You know what I'm saying? Imagine, you got to take all these raw ingredients, right? Same way your life. You got to take all the raw ingredients you have in life, right? And you figure out a recipe for them. And then it comes out correct. The problem what happens in life is we have the raw product we need to make this meal fantastic. We just never spend the time making a recipe. We never spend the time making a plan. We never spend the time trying that plan out. It don't work. Go back and fix it again. But with a recipe, if it ain't right, you go back and you make it right. But what I want you to see through cooking is it's the same exact way with life. Like cooking and life go hand in hand. That's why if you can cook in the kitchen, there's no reason you can't cook a successful life. It's the same exact process. You take the raw ingredients that God gave you and you put a plan together and have a vision on how you want that plan to come out for you. Does it always come out exactly the same as you want it? No. Usually it comes out better when you're cooking, right? You're like, that's even better than I thought it was going to be. It could be the same way in life if you don't skip the recipe part. If you don't skip the plan part, if you don't skip the part where you have to really give all yourself and you have to really try. With cooking, if you don't try, we'll be able to taste it. In life, when you don't try, we can really see it. Do you see how it all flows together in here? And that's why I love working with kids who want to be chefs or who are interested in cooking, because at the same time while we figuring out how to make you the best chef, we're also going to figure out how to make you the best person. So when going through that, like when I was telling you, one of my favorite parts of cooking was butchery. It's breaking down fish, it's breaking down meats, the craziest part about this is, I still right now to this day, I can't break down a whole chicken because I ain't done it since college. Because what happened is once I got out of college, wasn't no restaurants breaking down whole chickens. It's kind of like how you go to school and they teach you a way of doing math, but when you get out of school, you'll never do math like that again in life. That's the same way. So I can break down almost everything in this world. But then they asked me on the show, they said, hey, trust this chicken. I'm like, oh shoot, I ain't had to trust a chicken since college, because people don't really trust chickens that much unless you work at Kroger where they do it at a large or Boston market or something like that. But what I was saying to you to get back to it again is when I was young and I got back from the Olympics, it changed my life. When I went to the Olympics, I was a young chef who was cocky, a little bit arrogant, and well, they both equally partners, and thought he knew everything. When I came back from the Olympics, I was somebody who was humbled and was willing to do whatever it took for me to get to where I wanted to get to. And you're probably thinking of what changed in that time. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this pan hot, because this is what we're gonna do the pasta in. So you're probably wondering, is like, what changed in that time from the time I got to the Olympics to the time I left? Well, what changed was I hadn't seen things I'd never seen in my life before. I experienced a culture that I had only seen on TV, but not really had a chance to really dive into. And when I was I worked in a USA House, just so you know. I worked in a USA House, which is where all your celebrities came, all your corporate sponsors, the president. I was one of the 3 people who got to cook for the president at that time. All the delegations from the countries, when they want to come and eat with the U.S., they come to USA House. So therefore, what I went to the Olympics for, I was one of 22 students chosen in the country to cook for their country's Olympics. It was the first time they've ever done it and the last time they've done it since. That doesn't mean we did a bad job, by the way. So what happened is I was hired to go there and cook in the Anheuser-Busch celebrity deck, which meant I worked from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. But most days I would get there around 11 a.m. I'd get there about 11 a.m., get off like 3, 4 in the morning. And what I learned there was I seen chefs who were way beyond what I thought I could ever even be in my life, right? And so I started learning from them. And I started asking a lot of questions. The number one thing you should do when you get around something that's what you want to do is ask questions, even if they're stupid questions. And there ain't no such thing as a stupid question. So you need to ask. You need to be engaged with stuff. You need to try to take advantage of all the opportunities you have. Today, if you want to be a chef, when you see me around here today, stop me. Ask me anything you want to ask me. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm here literally only for you all. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here for my own comfort of being able to walk around and shake hands and take pictures. No, I'm here for whatever y'all want me for. You know what I'm saying? And part of that process is when I came back from, when I was in China, I seen, there was a 14-year-old kid there. I was 20 years old. There was a 14-year-old kid whose dad was the executive chef over everything. We rented out this 4-story restaurant, which most people have never even seen a 4-story restaurant before. The USA House was in a 4-story restaurant. And this 14-year-old was 20 times better at his job than everybody in the USA. He was 20 times better than everybody. He broke a whole salmon. The whole salmon weighed hundreds of pounds. He broke down a whole salmon in less than 5 minutes. When I tell you, there wasn't one person in the USA who could break that salmon down in 20 minutes. You know, it was like, and I was blown away. I'm like, what's different for you? Like, I asked him, like, how are you this good at this? Like, it was embarrassing. And he was like, well, my dad does this. And he's like, so I've been around my dad my entire life. And he was like, I know I want to be a chef. And since I know it early, I work it as if I will when I'm older. He was like, so since I want to be a chef, I'm in the kitchen 5 days a week, because he's not doing it as a job. He's doing it because that's what he wants to do. And some people want to go play basketball because they want to be a basketball player. If you want to be a doctor, try to get around a doctor who will let you come around them when they're at work. You know what I'm saying? If whatever you want to be, try to be around it while you're young. That way you can grow up into it, and you can experience it your whole life, as much of your life as you can. But when I got back to the States, and I'll go back to the butchery thing, when I came back to the States, I learned that in order for me to be successful, I need to do everything that they won't do. That was my number one thing I got, was whatever the people I work with won't do, I will do. So when I got there, I got this job, and the chef put me over all the specials. All the seafood specials, I had to create them, I had to plate them, had to do it all. I wasn't the sous chef, the executive chef, or the junior chef. I was just a line cook, but that's the kind of ambition I had. So he put me over these things. And then I used to ask him, I said, hey, I know you got to break down all the fish. I said, can I come in early and do it? I was like, and I don't want to clock in. I just want to come in and do it so I can get practice, so I can be good. Because what happens is, I'm really investing in myself. While all those guys are laughing, like, oh, you stupid, I ain't getting paid for what I ain't doing. Okay. That's fine, that's your plan. My plan is to learn as much as I can. That way when it's my time, I'm ready for it. You know, so I came in early to work without anyone asking me, without me asking them to clock in, because it benefited me to come in and learn more. Not them. It looked like they may have been getting over on me, but now when you look at life and how much I can do and the level I can cook at, it's only because that if I only learn when I get paid for it, I don't really learn much. You gotta have something in you that says, money's not attached to this. It's attached to me being the best version of myself. You know, and that's what I learned, because I remember being in China and seeing those guys who were working with us, you know, not boycott, but picket. Like, they didn't get paid from their restaurant, so therefore they wouldn't work the next day. Like, I remember seeing how hard it was for them. And then I took that back with me. It's like, you know what? I got too many opportunities here in America that there's no way I'm not going to be successful here. There's just no way about it. You know, and I get the chance through some of the partnerships and friends I have to see a lot of my foreign friends who come over here from other countries, and they become highly successful. You know, they become highly successful because they were exposed to so much where they came from. Then when they come over here, they have no problem doing the things that we have problems doing. So I say that to encourage you all to not put a price, a dollar amount on what you will or what you won't do, because usually people miss out on their blessings because of the dollar amount that's attached to it. You know, so don't not do it because it don't pay a lot. The only reason you should want to do it anyway is because it's getting closer to your goal. You know, so I've seen many people miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime because of the paycheck that was with it. And now, it is time to cook our pasta finally. So, the thing about gnocchi that is different from other pastas is it should be seared off. So, I'm going to take my pasta. I got some oil over here. This thing is hot too. Hot, hot. Take it. I got it hot. I'm going to put my gnocchi right on in here. And when you go upstairs, your gnocchi will be like 3 times the size of one of mine. So by nature, I could have a bigger tip on here and make them bigger. But this time, I just made them small because it was easier. So I'm gonna saute those off. And just so you know, what I was just telling you all wasn't just for people who want to be chefs. That's for anybody. That's for just a way of life for you. You know what I'm saying? I always equate it back to sports for myself. There's no reason why people who don't play sports don't have that same mentality about their life. You know, Kobe Bryant, everybody who ever played a sport before know the game time is usually the pay time. Game time is where they go in, that's when they're getting paid, right? But what they do when it's not game time is what makes them ready for it. So it's the same way, if you're trying to be a chef, whatever you're trying to be, don't just do it when you're getting paid for it. You have to perfect the craft when you're not being paid for it, you know? There we go, we get some color on those right there. I'm gonna use a smaller dish than this. There we go. I think this is too big. Hey, can you ask Tommy, does he have anything smaller than this? Maybe like a smaller version of this? Just something I can cook the macaroni and cheese in the oven in. So now I got the pasta going, right? Now I'm gonna add my garlic. I love a little garlic. Now I'm gonna turn my heat down too. There's no point to be hot no more. I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic to this.
Chef, I'm asking a question for the group. Talk about your outward expression, your swag, your style that you have, that you can still be individual, express your individuality, but also kind of fit into your corporate image. You know, you got the tattoos, you're wearing your special customized Kentucky chef's coat, you got your braids, but that doesn't discount you because you present yourself in a way of still professionalism.
You know, when going about my life, and the cool thing about what you're saying is I think that everyone should pick and choose what you want, how you want to be in life. Don't just be anything. You know what I'm saying? I chose that I wanted to be someone who represented where I came from, right? So I knew I wasn't going to cut my braids off. I knew I wanted my tattoos to show. I knew that I wanted to look like my environment, but I wanted to act like the best version of myself in it. So even though, you know, corporate world is a beast, I just thought it was important that I didn't lose myself, and I represented the kids who come from where I come from and may feel like they don't belong, but they always know they belong. You know, so that was a big thing. And, you know, we made a valid decision, like intentional decision to say, hey, I'm gonna look this way because this is how people look where I'm from. And I want people to see that, like even to the point of when it came down like years ago, I was like, I want to buy a new car. I was like, okay, what kind of car do you want? You know what I'm saying? I was like, and this was a car just for fun, right? I just wanted a fun car. I was like, what kind of car do I want to buy myself? I was like, you know what? I know where I lived at the time. I lived in a suburban neighborhood. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy an 81 drop top and throw it on some 24s. You know what I'm saying? And I said, you know why? Because they probably think that people in that car are a certain way. So if they know me, they know I'm solid. But I want to break the perception that everybody who drives these cars is a thug or a gang member or something like that. So I bought me an old school, which is parked in my neighborhood, which everyone loves to death. But my point was, I want to make sure that we don't feel like everything we've grown up with, everything we've become is wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's never what you want to feel like. You know, but the thing that you do want to understand is that now I'm going to go ahead and put some cream in there. But the one thing I do want you to understand is that you do have to evolve. You can't be the same way you were when you were in high school, now that you've been out of high school for 4 years. You know, and what happens a lot of times is, oh, you come on, bring it in. What happens a lot of time is people will be 27 years old and got the same mentality they had when they was 14. You know, that mentality was only supposed to be there to help you make it out your situation. At some point, you need to reevaluate yourself, reevaluate how you think about life, and say, is this way of thinking about life going to take me to the next level? And that's when you got to adjust. Ain't nothing wrong with saying, hey, I used to be aggressive when people said something to me. You know, right now, where I'm at in life, being aggressive will mess up everything I have for me. So now I got to be passive. I got to let them take that win, and I'll just walk away now. You know? So it's always good to reinvent yourself, man. It's cool to know that's okay. You know, I think sometimes we don't think it's okay. Cheeses. So inside is mac and cheese. I got some smoked Gouda. Never had smoked Gouda, it's fire. I got smoked Gouda. I got some cheddar cheese. And I got some pepper jack cheese going inside the mac and cheese. So when you go home and you see people make mac and cheese, they be like, you know, I got that 5 cheese mac and cheese coming out this weekend. I want you to ask them this Thanksgiving. Say, hey, why do you use 5 cheeses? You know, let's ask them that question. Usually no one knows. Just the more cheese seems like the better mac. But in this case, every cheese brings something different to the table. The smoked Gouda brings the smokiness that comes to it. The pepper jack brings the spices. It brings the heat to the game. And then the cheddar cheese, it brings that creamy moisture, just that pull apart cheesiness that you want. So I never do anything just to do it. I always know why I'm doing it. So I got my mac and cheese right here. Looks fire, fire, fire. Add a little more cream to it. You need some salt and pepper. Hey, next time y'all see me making something that ain't got no salt in it, you guys, like, you gonna salt that? Because you definitely need some salt and pepper and everything. Here goes some salt and pepper mix. Because as much as I could sit here, talk to you all about cooking, I promise you the real purpose of this is that you will cook up the perfect recipe for your life. You know what I'm saying? Food is just a vessel that God gave me to show people the transformation that can happen from a raw state or even sometimes from a halfway spoiled state. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta cut that spoiled part off and use what you can use to be able to make life really happen for you. Right, so I'm gonna do this mac and cheese a little different than you've probably seen before. This is what I'm gonna serve it in. I was gonna serve it in a small cast iron. So I'm gonna pour the mac and cheese in the bottom of this pan. And then I'm going to put some more cheese on top of it, and I'm gonna bake it in the oven. And by nature, as you know, this would have been full. A lot more mac and cheese would have been in there. But I really just want to demo for this so you can kind of see the process of it. Put some more cheese on there. There we go, there we go. A little more cheese. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put this right in this oven. And hope it gets brown. Now, who wants to come help me? Anybody wanna come down? Oh, 3 people. All 3 come down. We got enough for everybody. 4 it is, 4 it is, 4 it is. All right, so I'm gonna have we all wash our hands right here. Gel hand sanitizer. Here goes the soap, and there goes the water. What's everybody's name? What's your name?
My name is Landon.
Landon?
Yeah.
Good to meet you. What's your name?
Jai.
Josh?
Jai.
Jai. Oh, man, that's cool. What's your name?
Gabriel.
Gabriel. Like the archangel? Say like the archangel? All right. Put all this stuff up. All right, I'm gonna have 2 down here and 2 over there. You two down here will mix 1, 2, and half of these inside of here. Here goes your whisk. So this is sweet potato puree. This is maple syrup, cinnamon, nutmeg. We're gonna make the glaze that goes on top of it. So you'll mix everything in here, but only use half of this and half of that. And if you need to get half of it out, scoop it out. All right, you got it? Y'all ready? We understand? Any questions? All right. So you two down here, you will mix the flour, cornstarch. So whenever frying something, instead of just using flour, you should always use about at least 1/4 amount of cornstarch in there. So if you got a cup of flour, add 1/4 a cup of cornstarch. Cornstarch is what gives you that crunch that just takes it to a whole nother level. So you got flour, cornstarch, salt and pepper, Cajun, and barbecue. I want you to put that in there, whisk it all together, get it incorporated for me. And then, I'm gonna have you put this glove on. You will take the chicken and you will dip the chicken, or you will dredge the chicken in there, and then once you have it dredged, you'll put it on this sheet tray. Got you right here. See, man, you get your hands on, it's a little more real when you come down here, you know? The next stage of your training is gonna be called delegation. Getting everybody to do something for you, you know? It's the good part of this life. So yeah, go ahead and mix everything in there too. And then what you'll do when he gets done is you'll take the chicken from there, put it in there, and then we'll put them on here once you get them fried. Our mac and cheese is out the oven. Hot. There you go. Yep, put a little more in there for me. There you go. Yep, make sure you spread apart, yep. Get them nice and coated. Just like that. Then once you get the coating on them, sit them on here, pack them tight on there too, like make sure it's on there. Yep, just like that. And then you'll put them right on here. How you living? Living good over here? I think you're just missing water. Water was on the recipe, I just didn't have it on. Yep. So now I'm gonna take, I had another pot. I'll use this one. This is the one we bought our gnocchi in. So just boil water. I'm gonna go ahead and put that inside of here and warm it up some. Just next step. Let's go ahead and get this on. How you looking over? You good?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna have you drop these inside this oil for me. So when doing the oil, you want to make sure that it's ready. So whenever you're trying to see if the oil is at the right temperature, please never throw water in it. That is the worst idea in human history, was to test out oil with water. Just use flour. It's a lot safer for you. So if you see it go up and bubble, you're good to go. I'm gonna turn this up some. All right. Let's see how this goes. Here we go. Oh, there we go. All right, thank you all for your help. I appreciate it so much. Now we're able to knock out twice the amount of work fast. See? All right, you can take your glove off and then y'all can go right back and sit down one more time. Give them a round of the hand for helping out. Oh yeah, it's that Popeyes I'm telling y'all about, man. It's that chicken. So we have our gnocchi right over here. Get some spoons. Thank you. And can you ask them to ask Tommy, are any of the greens ready? Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yep, you can leave those right there for me. Thank you. When you're good, you're good. You know, it is what it is, you know. Okay. I like to say call a spade, but that's good. And it's something special about being able to make your own pasta if you make it mac and cheese. And that's something that we'll see when we go upstairs too. So we got our fried chicken pieces right here. We got our glaze right here. And so what I did was, I didn't want to put a cold glaze on hot food. Because that's what happens at restaurants. You have a cold sauce. They got to stay cold because of sweet potato or something in it. And then they get it and be like, oh, my food was cold. No, ma'am. The chimichurri sauce was cold. But that's why you want to warm up things. And like we have a sauce that by nature doesn't need to be hot. We'll just leave it out. That way it doesn't get cold because it'll make your food cold. So we got our sweet potato puree right here. All right. Just waiting for our chicken to get done. And we are finished as soon as we get the chicken finished. Here we go. But I hope that through this demo and through our conversation we had today that, you know, you leave out of here, you know, feeling excited about whatever you're going to do. Also, if you're interested in culinary, knowing that, you know, in this industry, your future really is in your own hands. You know, however much hard work you want to do, however much talent you want to give to reading and learning about creativity and different things you can do, this is that one career where you will make it as far as you make it. You know, like it's really in your hands. And the fun thing about it is you can do it anywhere. You can travel with it. You can travel the world and be somewhere for 6 months at a time, just cooking in different restaurants. Like there's just so much possibility with this. But I do want to also say it is one of the hardest working industries in the world. Like when you see me doing Food Network, I only do that when I go do Food Network. But every other day, you know, I got to run the restaurants. I'm all about numbers and figuring out where we're losing money and where we can make money at. You know, there's a lot more that goes into it. Here goes our fried chicken. There we go. Probably should fry more chicken off. And then bringing down the greens? Yeah.
Bring down the greens.
Yeah, no rush though. No rush at all. Got a little of this. Move this out the way.
Chef, while you're doing that, talk about some of your experiences on the TV shows and about not being overwhelmed with the experience or being in the experience, about just still representing and being confident in your craft.
Well, that was a great question. So I've competed on Food Network for the last 7 years. And just to give you a little background on that, Food Network called after the Rachel Ray show called. Rachel Ray show called because they wanted to do a show on my story, which my story was I went from living out my car to now owning all these restaurants. And you're probably thinking like, how did you go? Like I came from a good mom, like solid, like she's still solid today, you know, but I went to college and I made a lot of bad choices, and had to get myself out of those same bad decisions I made. And then Food Network called after Rachel Ray wanted to air that story. And I remember my first time competing on Food Network. It was on Guys Grocery Games. I won. And I told myself, I even battled with going the night before. So the night before I went, I can remember this like it was yesterday. The night before I had to fly out to go to Food Network, we was catering for the Migos. I know it sounds like I made this up out the blue, but we was catering for the Migos the night before. They was doing a big concert in Louisville, and we was catering for them and for the VIPs in their show. And I remember thinking to myself, like, you know, I got a good life right now. Why would I want to go lose on this show? And I ended up doing it. There was just no way I wasn't going to do it, but I remember doubting because I had never been in that level. And up to that point, I had never met no one who had been there either. You know, so I went and did the show, was very nervous at first because I had just never seen it before. But then I just remember telling myself, like, you didn't get here on accident. Oh, come on, chef. They may not be done cooking. I just want to show them for presentation.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. More presentation purpose than anything.
I understand.
Thank you. So I remember getting there, walking through the whole set of guys' grocery games, and this thing's still on? Oh, they're good. Okay. And I remember getting there, and I was like, you know what? I'm supposed to be here. Like, this is for me. And I won the first show, and I remember telling myself, I ain't never coming back, ever. I was like, this is it for me. I won. I'm undefeated. Why would I come back and lose? And I never wanted to compete on TV. I always wanted my own TV show, but I never wanted to compete. I didn't want to be a competition chef. But it wasn't until I realized, I don't know, it had to have been God telling me. I didn't know until I realized that, hey, no matter what you say you want to do, you need to do what's necessary in order to get to your goals. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told myself I didn't want to compete no more. But if it wasn't for me competing for the last 7 years, I won't be. Next year, the first quarter, when we started shooting my own TV show with Food Network, I would have never have gotten there if I didn't do the thing I told myself I would never do again. You know, so that was the hardest part of my learning experience from competitions was, like, they kept calling me. What you gonna say, no? Why? What am I doing? That's better than that. So I started, like, telling myself, like, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get to where I want to get to. And when 7 years later, even though I felt like I should have had my show a long time ago, I felt like all these things, we're just now at the point to where we signed the show deal. And it's like, I don't think I was ever ready 3 years ago. I really don't think I was ready 5 years ago. It's not until right now, I had to go through 7 years of training in order for it to be as big as it's going to be. You know, and sometimes it's like the story of the tree. What kind of tree is it? Oh, the bamboo tree. You know, when you plant the seed, it doesn't sprout up for, is it 5? We're going to make them numbers. The Chinese bamboo tree, when you plant the seed, you got to water it every single day. If you miss one day, it'll never sprout, but it won't sprout for 5 years. If you miss one day, you mess the whole tree up. And then after 5 years, it grows like 90 feet in 2 months. So the question is, did it grow in 2 months, or did it grow in 5 years and 2 months? You know, and what we do sometimes is we don't enjoy the journey of getting there because we just want to go. But I used to tell people all the time, you know, what makes a lion the king of the jungle is that he enjoys the hunt. So I definitely tell you all, make sure you enjoy the process of becoming whatever it is you're going to become. Because usually, that's why I told y'all to make sure you're excited about today, because usually people always look into the future for something else to come and save them when they don't realize they have it all today. You know, so just make sure that y'all are ready to go through the process of whatever it is you're going to become. If you're going to become a chef, it's going to take you a while before you become a very great chef. You're going to be frustrated because you can't figure out why you can't think of platings like the next person can think of platings. It takes time. You know what I'm saying? So with competition shows, which I'm going back and filming the first week of December, which is like, what, next week? I'll be going for 2 weeks in California shooting a show called Tournament of Champions. This is my 3rd season going on the show, but Tournament of Champions gets the 16 best chefs in the country, quote unquote, because there's some people who ain't on that show who are some of the best. And they put us against each other to see who's the best of the best. And the first year they did the show, so that anybody watch March Madness, you understand how brackets work? They do that show just like they do March Madness. They do it in brackets, the East Coast versus the West Coast. It's ranked from top to bottom.
If I may, the live telecast is going to end. If you could give a quick, closing to the telecast and continue with the group here after.
Yeah. So when it comes to this dish right here, we have our sweet and savory greens, which we just got, and I want to drain out some. So I'm gonna take my greens, put a little in there. You wanna take your chicken, and by nature, just so you all can visualize with me, by nature, this would be inside of something like this, but small. You know, it'd be like in a small cast iron pan. So you have your mac and cheese. You're gonna put your chicken on it as well. And this is all like one pasta dish. And then I'm gonna take my greens and I'm gonna drain them out, because you don't want any liquid on there. And then the cool thing about this is, instead of using like microgreens, which you see a lot, the actual greens that you eat become the garnish. And that's what you want. You want to be able to garnish with food as well as micros, because I know you're into cooking, everyone uses micros. So you take these, put it around there. Take a little bit of our sauce. By nature, this will be inside of a squirt bottle as well. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? There we go. Want to pour this inside of here for us? There we go, there we go. Just make a little human funnel. Just going back and forth to make sure it doesn't spill. All right. And then you just drizzle that right on top, and it fits inside its places. And then we have a Parisian gnocchi mac and cheese with popcorn shrimp, sweet potato glaze, and our sweet and spicy greens, people. We went over time, so y'all know that. Went over time. Gotcha. So, just so you know, we were talking about that show. So I went on this show. They called me out to compete on this show, which I didn't think I would even get the call to compete on. I went out there and didn't know what I was getting myself into. We get there and you realize it's bracket style, just like March Madness. You know, it's the 1 through the 8, the 1 through the 8. And so I was the last person to get the phone call to come on the show. So I was the last seed in the entire tournament. So, and if you know anything about March Madness, you know the last seed goes against the top seed. That's how it starts off. So the 1 goes versus the 16 or against the 8. So I had to go against the 1 seed in the first round on the first day. And the lady I was going against is probably one of the most prized individuals in Food Network. So I ended up upsetting her and beating her in the first round of that show. And that kind of changed everything for my career going forward, because after that, I battled another big-time chef, and then last season, I ended up beating a lot of them. So, you know, that kind of started my triumph in competition, because I've been competing for a long time and winning a lot for a long time. But that show kind of changed everything for me. But I guess, you know, before we get into these breakout sessions, because we do need to get into breakout sessions, you know, one of the things that I just wanted to say to y'all was, I took notes, just so y'all know. I didn't just come here unprepared. I just want you all, no matter if you're going to culinary, no matter what you're doing, is to take advantage of the opportunities you have. To really think about what you want to do for the rest of your life, because at some point, you can't always not know what you want. At some point, do some searching. You know, the most important thing about you is going to be who you say you are. So figure it out. Figure out who you are. Most kids I talk to, the first thing I ask them is, tell me who you are. They tell me their name. That's the least thing I need to know about you. Tell me who you are. What do you like? What don't you like? What do you want out of this life? What do you want to add to it? And I want you to start thinking about that, man, because if you don't make up your mind on who you're going to be, how you're going to handle it, the world will make you into whatever it wants to make you into. So at least knock it out, man. If you want to be dominant in this industry, say you're going to be dominant. Start doing dominant things. Get around some dominant people. And invest into yourself. Like if you got a chance to come to Columbus State and it's free and there's an option, don't get caught up in needing to leave town to go to college. You don't have to go as far away to feel like you've done something big with your life. That is not the recipe, trust me. I knew more people who left Columbus, went to college, it didn't work out and came back. Don't be comparing yourself to everybody else, the size of the school. You just need to do what's for you and have a plan for it, because like we've noticed and we talked about here, you already got the ingredients. The next thing you need is a recipe. So thank y'all for y'all's time.
Thank you. Young folks, we're going to go take a 10-minute break. We're going to transition upstairs.